good, everybody? Welcome back to the More Love Conversation series. It's your boy Vernon,
I'm Venice.
and we are back, man, to holler at y'all about something that we think is a very important topic, something that we've seen come up a good amount in our sessions, especially lately, but over time in general. And that's talking about, especially from the male side, what a provider is. It's a conversation that comes up a lot, especially, when people are talking about roles in relationship, roles in households, this, that, and the third. And a lot of the conversation and wording that people use is, and males and females, and a lot of men that I work with, I gotta be the provider, you know what I mean? I have to be the protector, but I have to be the provider. But the question that we really coming at y'all with today is, well, what does that really mean? What we've seen in a lot of our sessions is that has somewhat of a one-track meaning for a lot of people. As a provider, it dumbs down to financially. What am I doing financially? Provide. And we've had a lot of conversations with couples where that becomes the argument, because either the male feels like he's not providing, or that's what he needs to do, and so since he's providing financially, then it turns into what the role of the female need to be. Then she needs to cook, clean, and make sure that the house is taken care of, whatever the case may be. Or it's said that somebody's not providing enough, because again, we're talking financially, so they're not making enough money. And so it turns into a conversation where I'm not a provider, or he or she's not providing. So we wanted to talk today about what that really means, and is providing and being a provider solely connected to finances?
And it's actually not. The definition of provider is a person who provides something.
Something is the key word there. Something.
Right. So you can look at your relationship and understand that you are both providers. No matter who works more, no matter who makes more, and no matter what you bring to the table financially, essentially, you're both providing.
Yeah, I think over time, we've kind of gotten crossed with breadwinner and provider. If you're the breadwinner and that's the conversation in your house, then yes, financially, you're bringing home more money. Financially, you're bringing home the bacon, which is cool. Not knocking that. Male or female, that's dope. Hopefully, both are making good money, and so the breadwinner's balling, and so is somebody else. But that's not a provider. See, the provider is someone who is exactly what we said, providing something. So a lot of us males especially, we think the only thing we're supposed to provide is finances into the household. But what we miss is how much that provider encompasses. If I'm a provider and I'm picking up my kids from school, if I'm helping my kids with their homework, if I'm dropping them off at practices, if I'm outside working with them on whatever sport or activity they like, if I'm inside helping them with their instruments, if I'm practicing with them, if I'm encouraging them, if I'm talking to them at night, if I'm reading to them at night, all of those things that I just described are providing something to my children, providing something to my household. If my wife goes and she makes more money, but I'm more handy at home, so I make sure I get things done at home. I'm the one who cooks, and I'm not saying this is in our situation, but just in general. If I'm the one who cooks, my wife goes out and works. If I cook the meals, if I'm getting the kids ready for the bath, I'm still providing something. When my wife comes home from work and she engages with the children and she immerses herself in whatever may be going on in the household, she's providing something. So I think a big thing that we have to kind of get away from is the monolithic view of what a provider is. If I'm a provider to my family, I'm providing stress relief, I'm providing comic relief, I'm providing first aid for my kids sometimes, I'm providing confidence in them, I'm providing them with skills and tools to grow and mature. We have 4, so we touch almost every age limit. So for each kid, what we provide for them isn't even about finances. It's about what we're providing to help them grow, what we're instilling in them. And whether she makes more money or I make more money, we both can and should be equal providers to our household.
Yeah, and it's very important to understand that concept, because if not, there can be a lot of bumping heads within your relationship. Resentment could be built up over time because there's like a tunnel vision of what your significant other is and is not providing, like Vernon just said, financially. But financially is not the only way that you can do this. So even when it comes to your relationship and nurturing your relationship, you can still provide affection to your significant other. You can still provide attention to your significant other. The conversations that you have, the building that you create with each other, building your family unit and things like that. Like, that's providing and creating tools within your relationship and each other and your children. So there's just so many levels to providing, and it's just really important to just try to erase the mentality that it's just finances, because if you do, then you're going to have a relationship that could be unequally yoked, where one person truly feels like, I'm providing the finances and that's all that I really need to provide. But then that could create an empty marriage or an empty relationship, or children who are just not fulfilled or only look to one parent to provide all those other necessary ingredients and components to a healthy relationship, and a healthy parent and child relationship. So remember that partnership is allowing both to be providers and understanding that you both are providers, no matter what stage you are in your relationship. Because we talked about as well how sometimes, one person could be making more money and then 3 years later the other person could be making more money. So it really isn't about that. It truly is about like what you can give to each other and pour into each other and your family.
Absolutely. Provider is a very general concept, and I think it's something that we all should talk about in our relationships. Not who's the breadwinner, but what are we providing? What do we provide for each other? What are we focused on providing for our families? And how can both of us provide into our household to make our household more full? Because like my wife said, the breadwinner part, that may change. I could lose my job tomorrow, she becomes the breadwinner. She could lose her job tomorrow, I become the breadwinner. We get promotions, somebody else becomes the breadwinner. But what we provide should never be in jeopardy of what our finances are.
Absolutely. So keep that in mind. Release that.
We'll holler at y'all later. Hope this helps.
Peace.